Move over. We're centering the screen.
Hi guys, over to Wrestle Talk on Sunday. And as you can see from scheduling problems, what do you reckon, Paul? Should we say it's scheduling problems why Uma's not here today?
Scheduling conflicts.
Yeah,
tearing us apart.
I think he's still in bed personally, his girlfriend's. But
just like other major wrestling shows, we're having schedule conflicts. We've had to maybe rethink our times and.
Yeah, he was telling me, he sent me a message. I don't know if you saw this one this morning, actually. He watched it live last night, he did. So I suspect he didn't get to bed till probably 4 o'clock this morning. I thought to myself, well, that's way early. So what time do you start watching it this morning, Paul?
It was about 9:15. Wasn't too bad.
6:45 I started because I couldn't sleep. I know. I watched 3 hours of it and then I took a break and came back and watched the mock show.
It felt like a bit of a long show, I'll be honest. Like, it felt like by the time I got to the end of it, because I watched the pre-show as well, and it felt like it was about 5 hours with the pre-show, I think.
Yeah, the pre-show itself, I've seen that listed online with an hour and a half. So you think that's 5.25 hours? That's a heck of a hard list to watch that one. It's just, I think it's too much personally, don't you? But I know.
Yeah, I think it could have felt for a little bit of a trimming.
Completely with that. Now, we've got 2 quick bit of news I want to get Paul's opinion on before we start on the show, because obviously there was I asked Uman's question Trey Sayer the same question on Friday. I want to see Paul's reaction to this, and then I heard some breaking news this morning, which is the rumours involving AEW, which is quite interesting. So the first bit of news is, before we get into the podcast, is what do you reckon this rumour going around, Paul, about NXT possibly getting moved to a Tuesday night?
Yeah, like it's an interesting one, because I suppose NXT are losing the vast majority of the ratings war, you want to call it that. And I suppose they don't want to lose it. They don't want to be looking like AEW is beating them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can understand this thing happening. I think, honestly, it would also benefit both sides. Like, I know competition is good, but I don't know if competition, like, I think AEW is just losing viewers because of the competition. Like, not a massive amount, but some. And I think NXT is trying to kind of accelerate all of their storylines and get bigger pops to try and get the ratings.
That's what they're doing. They all seem to. I've never really watched NXT, so I can't comment on it. But it does seem like they're constantly over the pop thing. Where previously, when they were on the network exclusive, the pacing did seem to be somewhat different, what I understand. So it's very more like WWE's basically faster pacing, and whether that's the right move, who knows? But you're right. You look at the figures, don't you? What last week, the main AEW show was at 920,000, didn't they? And when NXT were on Tuesday night, that was in the 800s, wasn't it? So
yeah, like they both seem to do better, I think. Like, again, I said competition is usually good, but I don't know if it's really working out as well here.
Yeah, no, I agree. One of them sooner or later is going to move. We'll find out who, but if either of them go, I think it's got to be NXT, because you look at obviously what they've got on over at TNT, haven't they? Because obviously the Khan family have got the baseball, haven't they, on Monday and Thursday to deal with. They're big. And then Tuesday night, I know normally is not baseball, and there is a baseball thing on Tuesday night at TNT, so they've got Monday, Tuesday, Thursday they can't do out with. And I think TNT have got something on the Friday, I read somewhere, so it's either a Wednesday or a Saturday. And I don't think they want to do it on a Saturday, so we'll see. So who knows in the future? So yeah, interesting. Did you hear about the other news about the Authors of Pain getting released from WWE?
Yes, and I don't know, like, those at least they have their poetry to fall back on.
Oh no, it's a shame that anyone's not seen that book, the parody book. That who was it? Did you find it or did I find that? I can't remember now.
I think you found it.
I think it may sound like me. It's one of my sort of stunts anyway. But it's hilarious. And we got banned from reading it out on the normal podcast because we hated it that much, didn't we?
He didn't like any of it, no. Yeah, it's kind of surprised, to be honest. Like, I know one of them is out injured.
Yeah.
And like, I know they didn't set the world on fire, but I thought what they were doing with Seth Rollins before the injury seemed to be going well. seem to be melding well with them.
Yeah, I wondered that. Yeah, it's a very strange one.
Yeah, and I've seen them live. I've seen them wrestle live, and actually, when I saw them, they were really, really good. And I think like when they had the right opponent, they could work very well. And I thought like that big thing, big guy look, I thought would have done well in WWE. I'm surprised they can't let him go.
Yeah, there's something going on behind the scenes of that, so it'll come out due course. But the one of them's been out injured since February, isn't it? It was before lockdown, wasn't it? It was just before lockdown, wasn't it? So he's been out for a good 6 months now. So they mustn't be happy over something, but again, they are cost cutting, aren't they? So all the time. So we'll see. But the talk was, I heard this morning, was there was a big link going out to AEW with them to join the Dark Order, which I thought would have had Dre going berserk over it. But I don't know. Could you see them in it? In Dark Order?
I could, but also I think we have to just be careful of the Dark Order getting too bloated as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they'd be a very good fit, actually. They could be really good like muscle for Brody Lee, but just kind of maybe it's good to pace these things as well.
Yeah, I think so. I'll save them. They've just bought in that obviously the old lady wrestler, haven't they? What was it? Taekwondo or something, was it? Whatever her name was. Yeah, but I've seen her wrestle before in NXT in speech, and she's really talented. So that's a good move for him. It gives them extra options really when they formally bring it through. But yeah, we'll see. So that's what's going on there. So, but that's all right. People are wondering, obviously, today we're here for our review on AEW All Out 2020. Now, you said you saw the pre-show, Paul, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I watched the 2 matches on the pre-show, which they were kind of like just doing their job matches. I don't think there was really a lot to spend time on it. It was Joey Janela versus Serpentico. I think is that how you pronounce it?
It is, yeah.
I haven't got around to watching Dark very much, so I haven't actually seen Serpentico before. To be honest, he didn't really sell himself to me very well in this match.
Yeah, I'm not. A lot of the jobbers aren't necessarily very good in the Dark thing for various reasons, I think. So, and I don't think he's very good. So.
The character did an awful lot of flaunting in the match, which is, he was the heel, that's fair enough. But it seemed to be very much, I think there was 3 or 4 instances in a fairly short match where he took a really long time to go to the top rope and got knocked off. And it was the exact same match done 3 or 4 times. And it kind of just, a lot of times with pre-shows in AEW, you see kind of the younger guys maybe not always being perfect, but really trying to kind of show off, trying to show something, trying to, get seen. And this kind of felt like 2 guys who are kind of, doing a house show. There was nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't memorable. It wasn't really very exciting. It just kind of happened. You're like... Yeah.
It felt like to me, because that one wasn't advertised at all. So I only found out about that this morning. Was made me wonder whether it was like an AEW Dark show recorded the other week.
Maybe it felt like that. Like again, it wasn't nothing bad, but like kind of a 2-star. Just it happened. It was fine. We moved on.
Yeah, of course.
Private Party then versus the Dark Order was the other match, which was better. Again, it wasn't a lot better. It did seem like there was a lot more effort there.
Yeah.
It was a little bit. I think possibly because of time restraints, it was a little bit, and I don't often say this because I'm usually kind of forgiving with it, but some of the spots kind of seemed quite contrived. Like I think because they were trying to fit in so much, they kind of did, very obvious setups that would have been maybe a bit more natural if they had a bit more time to kind of feed into them.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But again, nothing at all wrong with it. A bit of fun in there, but nothing too memorable. You're not missing anything by missing.
No, I agree. Out of the 2 of them, I do like Alan Angel, who's Dark Order number 5. I think he's a smaller one. I think he's really very talented. I think John Silver's. I think they're both quite talented. I think they're very underrated, and it's
there was a lot of talent that match. I don't think it really fully clicked. And I think maybe, and I wonder maybe like that were they supposed to just be the only match and have a bit more time, or I'm not sure what way it was working. It didn't fully hit.
Yeah, there's 11 minutes when I read somewhere anyway. So certainly, that's why. So it sounded like one of those sort of matches, and there was nothing there to make me want to go and watch it. Because I know you can find that on YouTube quite easily. That you can. So
Yeah.
Why, but I'm not that personally, don't you? But it was obviously like the original main fight on it was going to be Britt Baker versus Big Swole. And obviously they then moved that onto the main card, didn't they? And started it off with that. Well, so we'll start on that then. What did you reckon to that for a starting match? It was a bit of a strange match to start off with, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, again, it was that very unusual setup because then, the following match was the Young Bucks match, which is usually that very kind of wrestling pay-per-view, high-octane energy, natural opener. Where opening with this kind of cinematic match felt good.
It seemed out of place, didn't it, really? So.
Yeah, it would have felt better, I think, in the middle of the card somewhere.
Yeah, I do. And I think they only moved it because then people were putting a bit of a campaign up, weren't they? Because you think, really, the feud between those two, Britt Baker and Big Swole, have been going on for months, haven't it, really? Because Britt Baker's been out injured for a good few months. And
yeah, it's been a while now. And
that's why.
What did you think of the match, Andy?
I thought it was very amateurish, Thomas. I thought it was a really poor fight to start the show, that. You had to drawing people in. You've got to be careful. You could put people off for that one. If I'd paid $50 for it on States, I would have been very, very disappointed at that to start with. Because I was watching it go around then, because I've worked in film before now, I could see what the cuts were quite blatantly. And it was like, camera in one room, all the cameras in the room, and they move the door, but you could see what they're trying to do. I thought it was steady rather than spectacular, so. And I thought the bit involved in the double drill was crap.
It was very, I know the cinematic matches, it's kind of okay to be silly, but I don't think silliness, I think there was effort there between Big Swole, the wrestlers themselves, but it didn't really work very well. I don't think the ideas were big enough, or it had a couple of nice little moments, a nice little silly reactions and stuff. And again, but I think both wrestlers kind of deserved better, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. You got the end of it when you saw Britt Baker howling out after she suddenly come round after being knocked out by the gas. And I thought to myself, I've had a tooth out recently, and they had to knock me out for medical reasons. And it takes you hours to come round, not like 5 minutes later. I lost it. I thought, oh God.
Yeah, bit of a quick setup.
Yeah, no. We'll give it markings. It lasted for 10 minutes, I didn't notice. So, what are you going to give it out of 5?
2.
No, it's a 2 for me as well, to be honest. I hated it. It really was a poor start to the podcast, that one was for me. So, right, okay.
Yeah, weird starter, definitely.
Yeah. What did you... Okay, next thing we're on to then is the Young Bucks versus the Jurassic Express. And obviously, I've not seen you on our Friday special the other day. What do you reckon to that setup fight, how they set it up? We had 2 tag teams going against each other. And the teams, the 4 that won, but then fighting in the pay-per-view. And I thought, that's strange.
Do you know what? It's weird, but I was quite excited to see the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express, so I kind of just went for it.
Yeah, no, same for me. I think that you know straight away it's going to be a good fight with those 2 teams. And I generally did enjoy it, I must admit to yourself.
You know, this kind of felt like this was my 4th match in watching the pre-show. And it was definitely felt like the card just kind of started properly now.
Yeah.
It felt like things really clicked, and I thought this was a great match. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, same here. I noticed at the beginning of it, they give the Young Bucks a sort of heel hint for a few seconds, didn't they? Again, obviously, like Jungle Boy offered a handshake, and Nick slapped it away, didn't he? And then, I thought to myself, what are they doing here? So there was hints of it again, wasn't there? But they didn't necessarily go for it.
And you know, heel Young Bucks, I think, works really well because they were very tight. You know, I think when they're baby faces, they like to have a bit more fun, a bit more flair. But just, there's a couple instances in that where they'd hit a move, they'd go for an immediate cover, they'd be much more kind of tight, quick, more kind of, just kind of focused. Yeah. And I think it worked really well. It's a good look for him.
Yeah, no, I agree with it. A lot of the hits he was doing in the fight, particularly on Jungle Boy, there was some quite stiff hits in places there was. And I noticed that as well, and I thought it was quite a rough fight, actually. It was a very, very good fight, but it definitely got rough. And I loved some of the double team moves he attempted to do on Jungle Saurus when, like, they obviously he tried to pick them both up, they kicked him backwards, and he sat up like the Undertaker, and I thought it was off. I thought, yeah, it worked really well. It was a good fight. What did you reckon to the end? What did you reckon to the end? And that's where basically obviously Matt tagged Nick back in, and they stereotyped Jungle Boy for another convincing near fall. Then obviously they followed up with a BTE trigger, didn't they?
Mm.
That's what.
Kind of, you're wondering, I suppose, again, feeding into the Kenny Omega storyline and feeding into that. It was a good heel thing as well, because it's kind of like they'd won, but they really wanted their exclamation mark or exclamation point.
Yeah. No, great.
And I thought it was very.
Yeah, very good fun.
And even like saying this again, I think I'm complimenting the Young Bucks a lot because I thought they were great. But as you said, I think both of Jurassic Express were fantastic as well. They always just played really well.
I think they do, and they're that sort of team, Jurassic Express. Even if they lose the pay-per-view, they're not going to lose in momentum because they're that popular. They'll pick up again next fight. You see that in the stats. Like, they do tend to lose a bit, but they pull up. But they reckoned whichever team actually lost that fight, they're going to drop out of the top 5 on the rankings. So obviously then that based means that Jurassic Express are now at the ranking against the tag teams. So I think they're going to be building them up again, probably with another feud possibly coming up. Don't know who wins, but yeah, good fight. Good fight. So
yeah, but yeah, I heard.
What should we give it marking?
Yeah, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm going to do you now. 3.75.
I actually had more fun. I'm between 4 and 4.25, but I'm going to go for 4.25. I thought it was really fun. I thought the storytelling throughout it was really good, and I got swept away with it.
Yeah, no, it's good fun. It's good. I enjoyed it. So.
Probably also because I didn't really enjoy the 3 matches before terribly much. But
yeah,
just in comparison, I had a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, no, I can't blame you there, that one, John. It was great. You need to pick it up after that one, definitely. So, right, we're on to the Casino Battle Royale now, aren't we? So, with that one. So, I haven't really spoken to you since, obviously. But what did you reckon to the fact when they brought in the new faction with Eddie Kingston looking after the Lucha Brothers and Blade the Butcher?
This was something, and again, in the first minute or two of this match, I got kind of confused because they did eventually, but I think it was the Blade and Phoenix were in at the beginning.
Yeah.
And for the first minute or two of the match, they stayed away from each other. And I thought there would have been a bit more kind of team work going on.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. So yeah, it was a strange one, wasn't it? So
storytelling wise, but it's an interesting setup. Again, I suppose you're not sure where it leaves the Death Triangle. I know Pac isn't around. I suppose they can't do much with him at the moment.
No, he's still stuck in Newcastle, apparently. So I've been hearing exactly where he comes from. I heard talk as soon as it all looked like they're going to lock down the country to come get back into England. They told him, go to your family.
Yeah.
That's why.
You don't want Phoenix and Pentagon to be just waiting around forever. So I suppose it's good that they're doing something with them.
Yeah, they got stuck in Mexico for a bit, didn't they? So they've lost a bit of impetus as well. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. So obviously, bringing 2 tag teams together with somebody else leading it. It makes you wonder whether the plan must be for the Lucha Brothers to put them separate, have individual feuds.
And that wouldn't be a bad idea because while as good they are as tag teams, I think the tag team division is almost too full at the moment.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're really getting their dues. So maybe they'll have a bit of a singles run wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I thought that as well. So no, I definitely do with that one. So I think it possibly a good move for them. So by the way, I've got the listings up of who came out first here. So and I did find this a bit of an odd one anyway, because you look at all the people who are listed on it, out of the 21, nearly there was more heels in it than actual faces, wasn't there?
Yeah, it seemed like a little bit of a mess here. One sure who to kind of root for a little bit at times.
Yeah, I know. I was actually cheering the winner on that one, actually. So, one thing I didn't do before was, forgot to tell you, on the first fight, what do you reckon me and Dre Zaya put down for winners? Britt Baker versus.
We both went for Britt Baker.
Both from Britt Baker, we did, yeah. And what do you reckon we both did for Jurassic Express versus Young Bucks?
I think possibly you thought someone might have cost the Young Bucks their match.
Yeah.
With all of the shit going on.
Yeah, that's what I put down for it. Yeah, we both went Jurassic Express. Both report of outside interference, and there wasn't, so that was a bit of a surprise. We did very well there. We got the first 2 fights completely wrong, and we didn't get this one right either. So, but yeah,
well,
okay.
Guessing about the right hard.
Right, okay. I've got to ask you a couple of things for this. Did you spot the thing that Darby Allin came in with? He came in with a skateboard. Dropped JK, he smacked JK straight to the face of it. He stepped through. And I saw JK at the floor and I thought, yeah, it's no wonder he hit the floor when that whacked him in the face. That's why straight away.
Yeah. Darby Allin had an interesting night.
Oh, yeah, completely with that one. So he definitely had one of those sort of nights where, and also as well, like it was. Oh, hang on, I've got some news as well now. I'll come on that later. Our friend that's not with us has sent me a message. He wants to put a comment something later. Do that later. And I was like, yeah, what did you reckon to that thing when they put Darby Allin in the body bag and filled it for attacks?
Yeah, like I saw a couple of people commenting on this afterwards and kind of combining this with the unfortunate Matt Hardy thing which went on later on.
Yeah.
You kind of worry, like, should AEW sometimes put down their foot a little bit?
Yeah, that looked reckless to me, that did. And you could see that obviously outside the ring where they had two referees around him for a good couple of minutes, getting the bag down and checking he was okay. So there obviously was a concern straight away that there was. So it looked really painful.
If anybody didn't see it fully, they pretty much put Darby Allin in a body bag full of thumbtacks and flung him outside of the ring.
Yeah.
In the body bag.
Could have killed him.
Jumping or falling out of the ring is often, and I know it was a lifted platform, so it wasn't as big a fall, but anything with a fall, the whole point is it's less dangerous when you're in control or when you can see where you're going.
Yeah,
well,
I agree.
That's kind of, it was a memorable spot for definite, but it was kind of a scary spot.
I'm not sure it's memorable for the right reasons.
Yeah,
that's the way I'm going to put it there. But you're like, I quite liked. I noticed as well. I made a note here about Sonny Kiss when Sonny Kiss came in and got rid of Jake Hager.
Hager, yeah, that was interesting.
That was interesting. Do you think that set up a new feud now, hasn't it, Jake Hager?
Yeah, and I really like Sonny Kiss, and I think that could be a good feud, both to give Sonny Kiss a bit more TV time, and also possibly just to make Jake Hager look more like that kind of beast that he should be.
Yeah, I do as well. I think it's a good choice, that one, John. That's why. So, I quite liked Lance Archer in that fist fight as well. Apart from the fact he won it, and I think we'll come on to that in a minute. But I liked the way he got rid of Will Hobbs, I've got this right, and Brian Cage.
Hobbs was quite good as well.
Yeah, he's an AEW guy. That's the first time you've really seen him look useful. But if he's in the size of him, he's a big, big man.
Yeah.
And I thought, if you're going to try to throw him out, you're going to have trouble because he's probably pushing 300 pounds. Because he usually gets battered around a lot in AEW by the smaller guy on the dark side, by the smaller guys. And he gets completely outpowered because he just don't move very fast. Well, no, he did well there, he did. I thought he did very, very well.
Yeah, good. And as you said, that kind of link up with Lance Archer and like that, those kind of the big man spots were just really good. With Brian Cage as well. Those kind of, as you said, some kind of power moves it was quite fun.
Yeah, I'd like to see a full proper match between those two in the future, I would. And there was obviously been a couple of hints on it going throughout last week or two now. I think it would be really good. I could see that being a really, really interesting fight between the pair of them. Clash of styles. But
I suppose the other thing with the match is the poor Matt Sydal and his introduction.
I had to go double check who he was because I couldn't remember who he was. Yeah, I realised then it was Matt Bourne, wasn't it? It was Matt Bourne, wasn't it? His name was in WWE.
Evan Bourne.
Bourne, that was it. Yeah, and I don't remember it.
I'll be honest, I was excited. I liked Matt Sydal, and I think was in New Japan. He's been in Japan, I think, a little bit since.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll be honest, I was quite happy to see him, but like, oh, that was a dangerous looking like fall at the beginning when he like missed the shooting star press.
Yes, that looked a bit reckless again. And it was like, there was criticism online of that, said it was reckless. It could have killed him and the guy who did it on as well. So there was bits of it, and there was quite a few spots in this. I wonder whether it actually quite went to plan. Like I said, in places, it did seem to get quite rough in places. And I don't think that was intended sometimes as well. So, but
yeah, I think in general the night, I noticed a bit of ring rust going around for the evening, but there was a lot of things that just I think didn't look as smooth as they usually would.
yeah.
And also actually towards the end of this match, and this is one thing, and I don't know why, but I feel like this is something AEW struggle with a lot, especially with some of the old managers they have. But I feel like Jake Roberts that towards the end with the snake in the bag thing kind of just looked a bit awkward.
That was...
Or if it went on for too long, or if it went on what they were trying to plan, but it was kind of, I don't think it really worked as they were hoping it would.
It didn't really work because it undermined the tension basically when you just had Eddie Kingston left with Lance Archer. And I thought to myself, then he came with the snake and I thought, well, yeah, what, was it the Butcher? But no, Butcher on the floor messing around. And I thought to myself, they should have left it. Not had either involved in it. It undercut that last couple of minutes to me. It removed the tension basically.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an awkward finish, I think.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with Lance Archer. I think solid enough winner, but
I like him. I like Lance Archer. I think he's really, really. He just seems a really good character. He goes around battering people, bringing jobbers in and throwing him in the ring and throwing around. It works really well for him. And I've seen other fights from him. I think he's a good mover. He's a very, very good worker after.
Yeah. No, he's really kind of come into his own since last year's G1 Climax over New Japan. He kind of had his big breakthrough moment, and ever since then he's kind of been on a roll. I forgot he was in WWE at one point as well, wasn't he? As well. Yeah, it was long ago, and he's been on in TNA, I think, for a good long time.
Yeah, he's about 40, so it's good. It's a good time to bring him over now. Anyway, certainly, and it does seem what they are very good at AEW means, and he's a really good example of this. Brian Cage is another one where they give the characters and they're comfortable with what they are. Like, you can criticize WWE for forcing characters on people, and they just don't click. And that's why they've done the right thing with them there. So, but there's talk going around, and Brian, obviously with this and Lance Archer, is they could be turning him into a face. Because they reckon that he's starting to get very, very popular with the crowd where he's throwing people around all the time. And there's battering people. I don't know.
You know, I can't really see it, but if it ends up being a natural transition with the crowd, then I suppose there's no point fighting it.
No. Indeed so. I'm looking for, and we're not going to talk about, obviously, who he's facing the major belt in the future yet, but he'll give it a good account. And Jake Roberts, I think he's good in the promo story anyway, so yeah, definitely that.
My only worry about Lance Archer is, again, we won't say, but I can't really see him winning the title.
No,
and
same.
Last time around when he got really built up and then lost to Cody for the TNT title, his momentum kind of took a big hit.
Yeah.
So I'm just worried it'll happen again.
Yeah,
but
they've got a big problem this time, that one. They've got to get that right, because you're Red Rabbit. If they cop that one up again, he may not recover next time. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. So with that one, right, okay. Yeah. Who do you think that Dre Zaya predicted was going to win the Battle Royal?
Someone from the Dark Order.
No, he had Rusev down.
Oh.
I mean, he wasn't even in the fight. That's why. But do you want to do who I had down?
Brian Cage for 2 in a row.
No, I had I predicted got the last two right. I said Lance Archer and Eddie Kingston were the last two. Oh. And I went with Eddie Kingston. Just typical that was. I thought he was going to cheat him to win. He's got that sort of smarminess about that. I like Eddie Kingston. Mm-hmm. That's why.
Calling the final 2 out of 21 isn't a bad.
Prediction. Yeah, no, it's good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was patchy, the fight. There's probably I didn't like about it, but yeah, there was more and more I liked what I didn't like about it. So.
Yeah,
so
no, Do you have a star? It's kind of hard to give a star rating in a battle royal.
Yeah, I do actually. I'll give it a 4.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same mindset, 3 3/4, 4 stars. I just thought it was really fun. Wasn't while it wasn't perfect, it was always entertaining.
Yeah, I had to look at the times on it before as well. That seemed to take it just over an hour. That did. Not that fight. The first 3 major fights took it just over an hour. So if you're looking at it, a long fight. It's probably half an hour, I reckon, pushing, certainly so. But I suppose if you've got, 4 or 5 banks of 3 people to bring in, that's 15 minutes for your start, isn't it? So it always was going to be a long fight anyway, so no,
I have no issues with it. Nice, solid match.
Right, okay. Now we're on to the controversial match of the night.
Yeah. This was scary.
This was terrifying. I actually thought he'd killed him at one point this morning, that bump he took. I thought it was going to kill him or kill Sammy. That couldn't have been planned, could it, at all, that? For Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara, what happened there?
I know it's hard to improvise, but like I felt so uncomfortable the fact that they kind of were letting it go on, and then they kind of did let it go on a little bit. And I know they were kind of confused, but that should have been stopped.
Yeah, I think if they didn't have the stipulation that Matt Hardy would leave, I think they would have stopped it. Do you think really?
Because they could have just called a no contest. I don't understand what the big issue was.
Yeah, it was just I didn't understand what they did there at all. That bump was I've never seen out like that. It was just he obviously just completely misjudged it, didn't he? And he just absolutely. It's a thing, but let's go back to the beginning of it. I loved the fact where they started it up again in the football field, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, and then obviously, like you're thinking, I think it was in the football field like they did in that last time those 2 fought. Then obviously Sammy Guevara turned up there in the golf cart, didn't he? And Matt Hardy avoided it. And then basically, obviously, Sammy went straight with the boxes, didn't he? So, but that's when the problem started, didn't it? So,
it's unfortunate. I think it would have been quite a fun match. It would have been kind of silly, over the top, but I think it would have been an entertaining time. But
yeah, now if people wonder obviously what's happened, obviously suppose you better clarify, haven't we really? So, what happened was Hardy went for a side effect, didn't he, after climbing up the Skytrack lift, and Guevara countered it, and they overshot the table a bit, and Hardy's head hit the cement floor. That's what the concern was, basically. It was like, it wasn't even slightly missed, was it, really, if you watched it?
It was gone, and he was, like when wrestlers look like they're knocked out, they don't really look like they're knocked out.
Yeah, he did there. Oh my God.
He looks like he was stone, still. There was no movement. His eyes were closed. It was very weird.
Yeah, and then there's a quote from Johnny Schiavone actually on this. I've got some reading online in a minute. He said he couldn't believe this in the commentary. He couldn't believe what he was seeing after Hardy's head went splat on the concrete. But then, he thought to himself, you can tell when the commentators are talking crap, can't you? It was him and JR then and Excalibur, and sat there thinking, I couldn't believe this, what we're seeing.
But the commentators were confused. I don't know. You wonder sometimes, the way that they talk about WWE, and they're like, with all the problems it has, it's good to have someone definitely calling the shots and someone who will say yes or no on everything straight away. And you kind of wonder, does AEW have that person? Because I feel like there was someone backstage who should have gone, this is it.
Get him off, yeah. That wasn't there. It wasn't there. It's blatantly obvious, and that match should have been stopped immediately.
Yeah, the 2 minutes after that, when Matt Hardy was trying to walk and kept falling down, and that with everything we know about concussions, that was just terrifying. This was incredibly uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, I just couldn't get my head around it. But they were saying on the commentary later on that the doctor checked on Hardy, and Hardy said he's okay, and the doctor said he can carry on. I thought to myself, but it didn't last very long after that, man. Did it? So, because obviously, Hardy went to give Sammy a DDT in the back seating area, then ran him in the fresh can, and then they fought to the entrance stage.
Sorry, Andy, I'm losing you there a little bit.
Oh, sorry, I'm losing you, mate. Right. If people wonder what happened, Hardy, when he was given permission to come back on, went to give Sammy a DDT back in the seating area, then rammed him in the crash can. Then they fought to the entrance stage. It didn't last much longer after that, really. So,
yeah, it was I just don't understand what there was going through their head. Like when you have someone acting the way Matt Hardy did afterwards, I don't care what he said. I don't care if the doctor was like, "Oh, I think it's okay." You know, that's you could see something was wrong. Like even if it looked okay from a medical professional, you should have still taken. I think just those extra precautionary measures.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you completely on it. It was just it was one of those things, that one, really, definitely with that. So, but anyway, there's not a lot else we can say, really, is there, so, about this fight? So, should we mark it and move on?
Like I don't know how you even mark that one.
I know I can't really. I was going to originally give it 3.5 out of 5, but I'm just going to do 0 out of 5 because
Yeah, I think
you can't mark it. You can't mark it really at all.
I think you could see some of the ideas they were doing. I think it would have been really fun had it gone off, but it was just really unfortunate. And then I don't think reacted to very well at all.
Yeah, that's why I had to give it 0. And I think you're probably the same with that, aren't you, really? So
yeah.
It's not criticising the wrestling. It just should have been stopped straight away. So, right. Anyway, let's move on to a nicer topic now, then, which was probably my favourite match of the night. This next one, actually, and that's a spoiler. Chikara Shida versus Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, it wasn't my favourite, but it was actually, do you know what? In some ways, it almost was. I think it was a great match, and I might be wrong on this, but I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever seen Thunder Rosa wrestle before this.
I've seen it with Lucha Underground. So I knew it for Lucha Underground.
I never really got to see much of Lucha Underground, unfortunately, but from going into this, not like knowing of her, but never seeing her, I am immediately a fan. I thought she
tremendous.
Was fantastic. She, oddly enough, unusual booking wise, but she looked an awful lot better, I think, than Sheeta did.
Yeah, I got that.
And I think some of that was booking, but some of that was just smoothness in general and just that kind of confidence. But I think she was just fantastic.
Yeah. Really fantastic. I think it's the best women's match I've seen AEW do this so far, I must admit.
Yeah.
I can't think of any better ones. I'll stop the answer, certainly with it. So.
Yeah, like I think Rio and Nyla Rose had a few that I really enjoyed, but this is definitely well up there for me as well. It was just, I think they were really good strategy. Thunder Rosa got so much great offense in, paced really well, really, just really good match.
Was I think I know I know Sheeta's got 12 years experience being a professional. I think Thunder Rosa is something similar. So you can see that they both knew what they were doing on there straight away. I would like to see a rematch between the pair of them, either for AEW or NWA if it starts up again in NWA. Because it does make you wonder what sort of deal NWA are doing with AEW at the moment.
Yeah, no, definitely. I would be very happy to see both. I'd be very happy to see Thunder Rosa in general. I might watch some of NWA if she's stayed her champion.
Yeah, I did.
Really sold well for me. My only small criticism of the match is I felt like it ended almost a little too suddenly. I think Sheeta got one big move in the pin, and I felt like Rose almost could have taken another hit or two.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's that point now. I didn't realise it's kind of a good fight for me. I was looking before and I read somewhere it went on for 17 minutes. A sign of a good fight where I could have watched another couple of minutes on that, definitely. Because you think when you get to that sort of length of the match, you think it's too much, don't you? But that wasn't. They could have carried that one on, I think, John.
One other thing I'll say, and this was not the match I noticed this in, and now again, he's a nice guy. He's part of, I think, every wrestling fan childhood, but I think Jim Ross has gone a bit old, long in the tooth.
Yeah, there's big talk. There's big talk going around at the moment. I don't know if you've heard this one as well. Obviously, with John Moxley's wife now leaving WWE, the talks around they're going to bring her in to be a commentator on AEW.
I will be well up for that.
and move either Shivani or Ross and just doing something else. So
I think, again, like there's nothing terribly bad that Jim Ross does, but there's a few things here and there's a few things in the other match. They were just like, I don't know, he kind of seems to go off on tangents a little bit and they don't really advance the match.
yeah.
Like he went off on a few things here where it's just like, oh, you know, when I was younger, women's wrestling wasn't any good. And you're like, okay. And there's a few other things later on where he was kind of playing down the wrestlers a little bit instead of playing them up.
I noticed that as well. He does seem to do that sometimes. He does, and
Yeah,
it's a bit unorthodox, really. So, but
Yeah,
it was good. It was good. It was good to see Excalibur Batman into that last night as well. It was.
I think Excalibur kind of held the commentary team together a little bit.
Yeah, you do. You get I noticed that when you've been missing and they've had Taz there with Shivani and Ross, it's meandered a lot. Because Excalibur, for me, he seems to be the pool and the knowledge base, doesn't he? He calls all the match and everybody else does what they do on top of him, basically. So that's why, I
think it was Excalibur who mentioned Rosa's other championship that she has in Japan.
Yeah, I didn't know about that one.
The other two kind of played it off as a joke for like a minute, and then we're like, oh no, we shouldn't do this, and kind of had the backpedal. Yeah. And I'm like, he was going out, he was really trying to build her up, where, again, it's not like Jim Ross is going out of his way to hurt anyone, but I think just his style of commentary, I don't know, it doesn't seem to work very well in the AEW setting, I don't think.
Not always, no, I agree with you. I think it's almost like they're afraid to confront, telling you do this, do that and stuff. So he just seems to do what he wants to do, and I've seen before now, he's been criticising the actual booking on there as well, so just can't win. Anyway, listen, we're digressing. What mark are you giving this one?
I'm stuck between 4.25. I'm kind of between 4 and 4.25. But
I'm going to go for a 5. I've really enjoyed this match. Really resonated well made it, so I've really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Really good. I'm definitely a big fan of Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, I've been watching that for her again. Definitely, it's been the best fight that Shida's had this so far. I think. For me. And
I think so.
If you can get more opponents in on that quality, it'll be an interesting time to watch because you do wonder. You look at what other female wrestlers have got in there at the moment. There's nobody in there at the moment that I think is on her quality. No, Rio possibly was because they were trained together, weren't they? She trained Rio, but it'd be a long time before we get Rio back into America. So we need to look at other opponents inside America more.
I don't know what way the contract's working, but I think they should try and tie Thunder Rosa down to some more appearances. Definitely.
Oh God, yeah. I'd love to see a battle of 3 matches between the pair of them. And that way, and spread it out over another pay-per-view for November for AEW. Then NWA meant to come back in December, aren't they? So if they come back in December, they can have another match over there then. So I do agree with you. So let's wait and see. Right.
Great.
Quick thing now before we move on. Obviously, I'm just looking here. There was an angle next, wasn't there? About Penelope Ford and Kit Sabian announcing they were getting married.
Yes.
I thought it was bloody awful, this, but the question was, who's the best man? Because that's sort of something new coming in, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, like it's not going to be. It was Jimmy Havoc was with them before, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
it's all Havoc.
That's definitely not Jimmy Havoc. So yeah.
I don't know. I'll be honest. This one kind of just went over my head a little bit. I wasn't as interested.
No, fair enough. I'm hoping they don't bring Rusev. They don't bring Rusev in on Wednesday on that angle because that's the poor angle to bring him in on.
If Rusev comes back to another major wrestling promotion and his first thing back is another goddamn wedding angle.
No, you don't want to think about it. So anyway, so oh yes, before we go, move on. Who do you reckon that me and Dre predicted to win that AEW Women's match?
I think you both went for Sheeta. I think this was the one you got right.
I thought I said Thunder Rosa. Just be awkward. I just thought to myself, I thought I'll do something controversial there just to wind him up.
Fair enough.
It worked. I got both that.
You know what? I wouldn't be terribly upset if Thunder Rosa won.
No, I wouldn't have done either. It would set a new feud up for that one, definitely. So for that, so right. Anyway, let's move on then. If Mr. Dre had been here today, he'd have been lots of comments in this next
very
one.
upset. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very upset. If he listens back to this, he'd be very upset.
This one really surprised me as well as match did. Really, really surprised me. I did not expect this to happen. Obviously, we're talking about Dark Order versus Dustin Rhodes, Scorpio Sky, Matt and QT Marshall. Now, what are your thoughts about this one?
I thought it was actually quite a fun match overall. It was a lot better than I expected it to be honest.
Yeah, same for me as well, actually, to be honest with you. I thought I could see it been a 2-star match straight away. Mm-hmm. I thought I could have seen it just been another straight squash, which for an angle, I think really, considering what they're trying to do, I think it would have worked. Like I said,
but it was. I think they pulled it off well. It was quite a storyline-driven match. There was a lot going on with Brody and Colt Cabana. There was a lot going on, with Dustin seeking his revenge. I thought it was like, a lot of stuff in it mattered, and I think they made a lot of things in it matter, and the action was quite good as well. Yeah,
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. So I think it did. Really seem to go really well, and I like the fact that you had Colt Cabana carrying the knock, didn't you, basically? Mm-hmm. And I thought Stu Grayson was really good for Dark Order in that. Actually, was. Again, he's a good worker in actually, don't you? But did you see obviously you noticed the cameo, didn't you, between Brandy and Anna Jay in it as well? So,
mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, I hope we don't do that fight. Put Ali against Anna Jay because I don't think Brandy's much of a wrestler, to be honest with
you. That is fair. I think it's good. I think there's a lot of places they can go with this. Except the Colt Cabana, Brody Lee, Dustin Rhodes is getting his title shot on Wednesday night.
Yes. I would have thought. I didn't know that, but that doesn't surprise me, that one at all. Yeah, it makes sense to do that one, then you can move on then, basically, because you look at, obviously, what's in the team there. You could easily see Scorpio Sky going into a run against Brody Lee. Possibly Matt Condana as well.
Yeah. Matt Condana, that was another strange one. I don't mean to harp on, but it'll be the last time I say it now, where in the middle of the match, Jim Ross was like, he's missing something. I don't know what it is. And one day he might get...
I saw that. I thought, what? I had no idea. Ross.
Down the wrestler.
I was wondering whether Jim Ross is on the bloody beer or something. There he was. He had a bottle of whiskey from in my case, what I said. We had a big bottle of whiskey underneath his desk. He gets swinging from it because, I thought that was a strange comment.
Yeah, and I think he was trying to turn it into a positive, like that, he'll break out at some stage. But I'm like, it didn't sound very positive.
He didn't break out with WWE, and he was there for what? On the bottom of the card for 6-7 years, wasn't he? So
he was there for a long time.
Yeah, he's not on that long a deal for AEW, actually. He's only down for a couple of months.
I think few appearances.
Yeah, I think they're just going to see how it goes, but I'm not convinced he's got enough to get a long-term deal off them, truth be told to you.
But it was like, in some ways, the Dark Order probably should have gotten the win for the momentum, but I think the amount of storyline potential they've gotten out of it, I think it was fine.
Yeah, I liked the ending of it, certainly, where after the post-show action, when obviously Brody Lee lost his rag, didn't he, at Colt Cabana. And I thought to myself, that's moved the storyline along there, where Colt Cabana first time has seen possibly the darker side of what Brody Lee's really like. Yeah. So it could end up eventually giving Colt Cabana the belt, getting him fighting Brody Lee for the belt and taking it off him. Mm-hmm. It's possible. We'll see. Anyway,
it will be a strange one.
Yeah, a strange one, but we'll see. So, what are you going to give it out of 5 then, Paul?
I think, again, 3.5, 3 3/4 kind of area. It had a good, solid, fun match.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say 3.5. Because it was a step. I think it was a step down in gear after the previous match between the two women.
Yeah.
But you always say
so,
don't
but-
give a fight. You can't do that sort of intensity in every match, can you? So you've got to learn.
I think this was a bit different.
Yeah, I think so as well. Right, okay. Now we're on to next, the longest fight of the night.
Yes, this was a strange one.
Very, 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 very strange, and it went on for well over half an hour as well, didn't it? So
Now, like I know I've read a lot of people's opinions on this online, and it went down, I think, very poorly with a lot of people. I will say, weird enough, this was still probably my favorite match of the night, but also by a good margin the match I was most disappointed with.
yeah, I can see
It's a
why
strange
with that.
thing to say, but
Yeah, I can see what you're getting at with it, because like it seemed very multi-layered in places, and I think the booking of it, it's coming off a very almost like a multi-layered film script, really. When possible what come before, they should have really simplified it to some degree, because you had them obviously, didn't you? At the beginning of it, a bit of friction between Paige and Omega. Then you're thinking, oh, they're going to make it up now and win the fight, and I couldn't see it.
yeah, it didn't. Again, for me, I think a lot of the issues with this match were the expectations. I think a lot of people are going into this expecting match of the year candidate, if not, winner. And I think this was, again, I don't think like it was intentionally slow. I think FTR worked that style a little bit. But again, it was a little bit messy at times, and it's very unusual to say that about a Kenny Omega match. But there was a couple of spots where you're kind of like, there was nothing horrifically bad, but there's a few things where like that could have been a bit smoother. That was, his head was obviously quite high off the ground in that move, and
yeah,
there's a few like that here and there where you're kind of like, considering the talent involved, I was kind of surprised it wasn't more than it was.
Yeah, it might have been the case because it was like I said, it was over half an hour basically, wasn't it? By the end of it, but you can see the four guys were clearly getting tired, and it was a tiring match. That wasn't, but you think really like obviously Omega and Paige are doing those sort of matches, aren't they? Because we had the Stadium Stampede, didn't we? Very recent. That was what 45 minutes that fight. That was just, and they thought the books are over half an hour again. So yeah, very very strange one. So
yeah, I don't know. Maybe just FTR style didn't. I'm not sure. Like it's so weird. Like they had all the right. I think all of the right pieces were in place, and then it just didn't. They just didn't fit for some reason.
Yeah, I think so as well. It might fit better, obviously, when we get to what's going to be clear the next feud now between the Bucks and FTR for the belt. That you'd be expecting to be a classic to repeat next time, because the Bucks obviously have shown that they will adapt the sound work with them. So that'll be a really good fight. And this always felt to me like it was as soon as the Bucks won that last one, and they were going on about the Bucks, hinting at the Bucks going for the tag team belt, and I thought to myself, that's it. Paige and Omega aren't going to win this one. They're going to split them.
Yeah, I think it was the right time. It was the right time for them to lose the belts. I think it was the right moment. And I think they can start building either to Hangman Omega straight away, or possibly maybe bringing in a title in there somewhere and building it up more down the line. But it felt like, storyline-wise, felt like the right time.
Yeah, I do as well. And they've got 2 months now to decide where they're going to go next with Omega and Paige. And obviously, then like FTR versus the Bucks and stuff. So that's a good pit. That's a good length of time. That straight away. So, what's your opinion then on that? Then, because obviously, like at the end of it, we had all went on afterwards, didn't we? So, the Omega obviously went off in a car, didn't he, in a temper, and then Paige just collapsed in front of him, didn't he? We didn't try grabbing him. So it's
that was a nice moment. No, that was well done.
Yeah. There's been hints, hasn't there, about Omega going back to his cleaner character from Japan, and I've seen clips of that, and that's completely different to what he's done in AEW so far. And that could be really worth seeing. That could be.
Yeah, like I think heel Omega, possibly with the Bucks, could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think so as well. But then if they're going to do heel Omega with the heel Bucks, they've then got to an FGR, haven't they, to faces. So it's going to be interesting to see what to do. So I'm not sure yet, Chancellor. It could end up being like Omega joining FTR and Sean Spears as the new Horseman.
Also, I think maybe, but this was also Kenny Omega, even when he was the cleaner. I think a long period of his career in Japan was kind of as a tweener more than a heel, but it was because he's Kenny Omega and he's that good, he'll never be fully bad, or accepted as such. So it's kind of that, I could see that kind of like evil, but still able to like feud with the heels at the same time, kind of bad guy.
Yeah. It's time for him I like the fact he said at the end of it, it's time to talk about change now, and I thought, good. Perhaps it's time we see AEW kind of seeing it in a different light. It's a good time, you're right. The feud between that had come to its natural ending. It was the right time to do it, I think. So let's have one. Right. Markings.
Again, this is probably higher than a lot of people would have given it, because I think what they did wasn't what I was expecting. I don't think it's what a lot of people wanted. I think they still did it very well. So I'm kind of looking at 4.25.
Oh, you and your quarters, honestly. Yeah, I was saying this to Ray the other day, and I listened to Friday podcast. The only person I've ever done a podcast with, Paul, where you actually mark things in quarters. No, I'm giving it 4.5 because I thought it was a really good fight. There was flaws of it. There's no two ways about it. I loved the ending of it, where how Paige obviously got pinned. I thought that was it moved the storyline along. All that went along afterwards, it left plenty of open for Wednesday night. So it did give you all the answers, and I thought, yeah, good move.
I think people are mistaking this match for bad instead of disappointing, which I don't think is fair, because it wasn't a bad match.
No, I agree. It was a little. I think it should have been a 5. I've got the feeling on that they could have done more with it. But 4.5, mate, it's still by 4 very good workers, so no complaints my side.
Right. I think myself and Dre have grown up, unfortunately, in the world of Dave Meltzer, and we've been trained into our quarter stars.
It's fine with me. Right, okay. Right, we're moving on now, aren't we, to something completely different. This is Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho. And I can't pronounce the name of this fight, so I'll let you try it.
The most have fun.
Yeah, most of I got the fun bit. I couldn't do the rest of it. But let me ask you a question before we talk about this one. Did you feel like this fight was in the right place on the card?
I think leading into the pay-per-view, I wouldn't have been like, I think maybe it could have done well, but it is weird because it was obviously going to be, even though it didn't end up being as much of a comedy match as I thought it would be.
Yeah, the same. I thought it was more of a comedy match, more serious than I was expecting.
Yeah, but considering they usually build up, AEW usually do build up their pay-per-views towards the end into kind of like the next biggest match. It probably should have gone before the tag team title match. Yeah,
that's what I thought. I thought it should have perhaps done the women's fight, then the tag team, with obviously Ben Moxley versus MJF. I think those three should have finished the pay-per-view. Put the Orange Cassidy one, Jericho probably right bang in the middle of it. It seemed to change the tone. It was made a bit uneven for me, John. So that's why. So
yeah. I'm saying that I thought it was a fun match. I thought it was. Again, maybe another one where expectations were a little bit too high on my side, but at the same time, I had no problems with the match, and I thought it was quite entertaining.
Yeah, same for me. It's 15 minutes long, and it was a good 15 minutes. And I think my opinion was it was expected, to be honest with you, but it was fun. And I was kind of expecting one or two of the inner circle to come in to try and help him out, but we didn't get that. I mean, that's really interesting because those.
Sorry.
Yeah, but again, it's not a bad thing. That anyway, like I said, it's sometimes good. I mean, we've been trained with WWE so much, where you get run-ins all the time, don't you? And it seemed like tonight there was a couple of quick points we were expecting it, but we didn't get it. That's not a bad thing anyway. So, and I was expecting to see Jericho roll around in that tub longer than what he did, because I thought he'd be really hammering it up, but he didn't, did
he? It was that strange thing where it was played as quite a fairly serious match, but then if you want to do that kind of match, why did you pick this stipulation?
Yeah, I couldn't get my head around it. Really couldn't get my head around that at all, Paul. That's what really caught me out in this pay-per-view in some of the cases. The order of the fights made it quite uneven in places. Obviously, start off the Britt Baker Big Swole one, then go into like obviously the Young Bucks and obviously Jurassic Express. The tone of it jarred in places, some of the orders and the matches. So that's why. But yeah, it was good. It was a good fight. This, but it's just weird.
Yeah, again, it was. You said like it was fun, but it was strange. Had some nice spots. Had some, they played the stipulation well in a serious way, but they was still, worked well. Yeah, it was just an odd setup for their kind of big blow off, if this is the big blow off, which it kind of seemed to be.
Yeah, I can't see how they want to top it on the show. That's why. So we'll see. So anyway, markings.
Between 3.5 and 4, I think it was just kind of fun.
I've gone right bang in the middle of you here. 3.75. Your fault now. I'm marking in quarters.
Andy, how could you? Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, it was a good fight.
There was no problems. It was a good, fun, entertaining match.
Yeah, definitely that one. So right, on to the finale fight now. And I've got a story for you. This one, something you don't know here. We had obviously Moxley versus MJF. Now I took a break after that one because we were doing something else for half an hour, and then we had lunch. Me and Amanda did. So Amanda's my partner. Everyone doesn't know, but she's not really a wrestling fan. There's a running joke going around of her about her liking John Cena, not for his wrestling ability. Her words were, "He's nice to look at, nice wallpaper." But anyway, she started to watch his last fight with me, and soon he put it on. Before he even started, she turned around and said to me, "MJF is a right dickhead, isn't he?" And she didn't know who he was.
Yep, that's a credit to MJF, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It shows you really how good he is. That's what AEW is really good at, the characters. You know who you're going for sometimes. And I thought Amanda's not, she doesn't know AEW at all. And she said to me afterwards, she said, Moxley scared her. he just didn't seem to stop, did he? Yeah. But like, she thought MJF was an absolute, did she call him dickhead? A dick breath? What was the other one? Cockhead. The language it got worse as it went along. The more he cheated, basically, to win. And I thought myself, anyway, that's her. So, what do you reckon to this one?
Also, another side MJF note, because I hadn't heard it before, but one of the commentators mentioned it, and I googled it afterwards. That there's a clip on YouTube of MJF on the Roseanne Barr talk show at age 5.
Oh yeah.
About his family and singing, and this might be like more well known among other fans than me, but it was the strangest thing to watch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He's still MJF. He has the same haircut.
Oh, brilliant! What I like about him is, I've seen him in a few out of character interviews, and he's very obnoxious as a heel, but he's not. All it is, he's just turning the volume up on himself by about 200%. He's just the way he is, the person. He's a lot nicer guy in real life, but he's got the cockiness about him in real life. And this is just turn it in a real nasty way. It works really well for him, I think.
Definitely. I'll be honest, this match, it suffered for me a little bit because I had watched the whole show straight through.
Oh, bloody hell.
Like, it was kind of tired. I think I should have done what you did and take a break before the last match, because I think I was kind of all AEW'd out a little bit.
Yeah, same for me, because I watched Dark on Friday night, Saturday morning a bit. Just because I was out all yesterday. I went to watch a non-league football match yesterday near me. And while I was getting changed, I thought, Dark's on, an extra Dark, put that on. So when I watched it this morning, I'm completely burnt out by the end of it. You can only take so much, can't you?
Yeah. And I think, like, I know AEW have a lot less pay-per-views, so they can probably, it's a bit more forgivable to have longer shows, but I think still, the tightness they had in previous shows was, I think, better overall.
Yeah, I think so. The last pay-per-view me, you, and Dre did, I have terrible names. Not there was one, not the one that split 2 weeks, one before it. That was just under 4 hours. And All Out from last year was just under 4 hours. hours. So it's like steady length for them. But as I envisioned last night when I got this one, it's going to go on for 5 hours. And if you'd watched all the pre-shows like you did, it was 5 hours. That's why. But yeah, I know what you mean. So right, anyway, right. I'll tell you, there's one bit I really liked in this fight, and I want to see if you spotted this one. Okay, I loved the bit where you had them both sat on the floor slugging it out. And I just love the fact where Moxley was, oh, whatever. Then you saw MJF getting me, right, I'm going to get you now, like that. And I thought, yeah, that was a really good bit. But there was a lot of good spots in this fight, there was. And I thought it was well controlled.
No, it was good. And I think MJF took a good all beating, to be fair.
Yeah. Was that, do you reckon, was that blading, was it? Or do you reckon he actually got fizzled and bust open?
I hope. Well, probably. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It was hard.
I know when Amanda saw that, she said to me, oh, that's red paint.
Yeah, it's weird explaining blading to people who are not wrestling fans. They're kind of like get horrified by it, and you're like, that's actual blood. And they're like, what? Why are they doing this? And I'm like, it's kind of hard to explain then.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that one. So, yeah. No, but Richard Bradford was a really good fight this time, so. But was there any bits that you particularly liked in the fight, was it?
Yeah, again, I just thought that it was solid overall. Again, I think I got a little bit just like bleary-eyed at this stage, and I don't think I give it a fair really shot by the last match. But I think like it was about solid. They did put up a good fight. You know, you had that kind of good Moxley big match where there's a good bit of brawling, a good bit of fighting, and he kind of ticked all the boxes well for him. I have no real complaints, but at the same time, it's just, yeah, I got a little bit bleary-eyed at this stage.
Yeah, my side, I'm glad I took the break, because if I hadn't took the break, I would have ended up giving this fight probably a 3 out of 5, because the concentration was starting to go, would have gone. So I think I'll talk Mark, I'm going to give it in a minute, but yeah. And there was a quote at the end of it. I don't know if you caught this off camera as the pay-per-view finished it. And Moxley said, you'll have to kill him or drop a house and take that belt from him. And I can believe it's the way he is the character. You could believe that, couldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And I was glad they didn't bring Lance Archer down to the bottom to do a stare off of him. I thought WWE would have done that. Possibly interference or something, but I'm glad they didn't. They kept him apart. I thought that was the right move there straight away.
Yeah, I think it was nice to give him the last word. Just have that.
Yeah. Did you see him giving Lance Archer the finger?
No.
He had the match finished. He went and I can't read your character, of course, but he went and stuck. You can see him quite clearly giving the finger up to Lance Archer in the crowd.
That's Moxley. You know, he just doesn't care.
Yeah. One thing I've got to ask you about, on quite a serious note, my friend Michael brought this one up before to me. Because obviously, people might know we're in a wrestling PM group on Facebook. And I brought my friend Michael into it a bit back. Did you see the set of what happened before the fight? Moxley came down from the steps, and someone trying to get into him.
No.
Yeah, it was where play it back. It's where terrifying it is because somebody tried reaching over to grab him. You see at the camera, and somebody pulled him back.
Oh, God.
And I thought to myself, a social distancing, that's terrifying. It looks like a youngish man as well, didn't it? I thought that's incredibly reckless. That was.
Yeah, in general, to be honest, you know, you do have those fans who kind of just take it too far.
Yeah.
And it is, you know, at the same, like, I know you want to get involved in it, but at the same time, you know, don't grab the performers.
Yeah.
Good rule. Don't grab, whether there's a pandemic or not, especially when there is a pandemic, though, don't grab the performers.
Yeah, I know, I agree with you. So it's like it was really, really worrying, that was. And I only spotted it after I finished the thing with Michael Besham. I went back and had a quick look at it and I thought, oh my God, I thought that reckless. Really, really reckless. So, but anyway, right, Paul, what are we going to give it out of 5?
Yeah, I feel like, as you said, I don't think I'm grading this fairly because this was the match I went. Like, I was good up until now, and then I just kind of went. So I feel like I am in that, like, 3.5, even though I don't think that's the fair grade for it, but that's what I got from it at this stage.
Yeah, you just knock it out. I think it's because it's too long a show, basically. I give it 4.5, but I said it would have been the 3.5 if I hadn't taken a half an hour to an hour's break when we did. And I think as a show, that's something they need to look at, because a near 4-hour show, in your case, you watch an extra hour and a half on top of it. That's too much. You're burning your audience out.
Because even like I was still invested at Jericho Cassidy, so maybe even just like that half an hour shorter, and I felt like it would have been perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, so I said it so. Right, one thing we didn't do, and I'm going to go for this very quickly now, because I've forgotten, and then we'll look at the bullet points for next week, okay, for AEW on Wednesday. On the Page and Omega versus FDR fight, what do you reckon me and Dre predicted?
FDR.
Yeah, both of us. Both of us. What do you reckon me and Mr. Dre predicted for Cassidy versus Jericho?
I think you went Cassidy and Dre went Jericho.
Both of us went for Cassidy.
Okay.
That's why. So, and lastly, this one may surprise you: Moxley versus MJF.
I would have thought you both went for Moxley, but maybe not.
One of us didn't.
You've told me you like being controversial, so maybe it was.
No, it was Dre. Dre went for it.
Okay.
Right, I'm just marking up so everybody knows how well we did.
Who won? Did someone?
Not very well. I did terrible. Hang on. Right. Oh my God. I'm embarrassed when I say this marking in a bit. Right. Okay. That makes that. Oh, hold on. 2, 1, 2, 3. Right. It ended up with Dre getting 3 matches right on the main card. And how many do you reckon I got right?
3.
3, yeah. And that's terrible. That is terrible. Considering that when we were talking Friday, we both were really confident the matches were going to go the way they went here.
Out of 9 matches?
9 matches. Oh, well, I do a good guess. We love our AEW, but we didn't get it quite right there anyway, that's for sure. So
overall show ranking?
I'd give it 4 out of 5. It was too long. 4 for me. It's a spectacle.
Kind of B3. Yeah, like this sounds a lot worse than it is, but I think this might have been the worst AEW pay-per-view so far.
Yeah,
all the other shows were such a high quality.
There's been a few people saying this one so far actually been the worst one so far.
I don't think there was like the tag team title match, because it was so disappointing, because I expected so much more, feels a lot worse than it was. And even though there were some other, like the Shida Rosa match was really good, I really liked the Young Bucks match. It was still, I don't know, you expect something more from AEW. And again, you're never going to keep that high level of quality forever. And it wasn't a bad show, but
yeah, I think it might have helped matters of Thunder Rosa and Shida if they built it up more. Because that felt like to me they were pulling that one out of the bag almost. It came in quite last minute, didn't it? So when it coming in quite last minute, it's a bit of a tricky one, that was really. So that's why. But yeah, that's a fair point. So, do you want me to quickly give you what they've announced happening? What's happening on Wednesday?
So we have Dustin Rhodes versus Brody Lee for the title.
Yeah, we've also got the Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford announcing who the best man's going to be, and that's obviously a debut. And the other one is about Moxley speaking out over against obviously his next contender. So that's all I know at the moment. So there'll be other things getting announced next day or two, I suspect anyway. So that one's over, yeah. That's all it was. That's all we had, guys. So we hope you enjoyed it. Next time we speak, guys, hopefully we're back to our trio again. And no doubt, he's going to have plenty to say about this as well, I suspect.
Scheduling conflicts won't tear us apart ever again.
Oh no, love will not tear us all apart, definitely. So we'll try and catch up, everybody. Seriously, we'll do a meeting in October. So then we can look at the build up towards the next pay-per-view in November, because I think I heard 6th of November. Did you hear that one?
Sounds about right, I think.
I think I heard 6th of November mentioned somewhere. So we'll have a chat in October. So we go. Right, guys and girls. Stay safe. Stay sane. See you
Thanks, guys.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.